Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back again. And this morning, we have a very important session to discuss about the new, a very new experience in China, in a Shanghai sample. So in this afternoon, we will continue our topic about the digital city and the smart city. And I'm Hejuan. I'm the founder and CEO of TMTPost Media Group. And now you can see that we are now in Talk to China. It's a very unique forum in this important Expo Congress. And I'll have a brief introduction about TMTPost Media Group first. TMTPost Media Group is a worldwide influence information service provider. We are based in Beijing, China, and have office in New York, Silicon Valley, Tokyo, and Tel Aviv, Israel, and so on. Almost more than 10 different country cities. We are also engaged in building a bridge between China and the world and provide a gateway to Chinese market for innovators all over the world. So I'm very, very happy and honored to invite Mr. Ning Kang this afternoon. And he is the general manager of the Industry Enablement Platform and the Director of Smart City Solution Department in Huawei. I believe Huawei will provide a very good example for the smart city system. So now let's welcome Mr. Kang. Thank you. After the speech, we'll have the panel discussion, and you can have some questions for Mr. Kang also. Thank you.
Thanks all the guests. I think it's a very good opportunity for Huawei, and we can introduce what we have done. And I see the topic is Talk to China. It's very good, and because smart city, or we call the intelligent city solutions, is very different from the East world and the West world, especially in China, because we have our government in China have more resource, more power. So the development, the things actually quite different. So I will say, for the past 10 years, the smart city in China, we have already achieved a lot, and we will see every year one or several Chinese cities will get the best award in the Smart City Expo. And another thing is that some low-hanging fruit already gone. Huawei is quite new to the smart city solutions. Actually, we start for the smart city solution only 3 years. If we formally say we have smart city solutions, only the past 3 years. So we face a lot of challenge. We cannot just say we do some easy work, then we bring a good effort. So today I want to discuss more about the technologies. What we think most important for the smart cities. One of the reasons is because of Huawei, the company who provides the ICT solutions. We actually are technology companies. We are focused on provide technology solutions. Another thing is that myself, I actually am a software engineer. I worked in Huawei for the past 20 years, and majorly as a developer. And so, as mentioned, I'm the general manager of we call it Industry Enablement Platform, which Huawei developed to help our partners, help all the developers to use Huawei's ICT solutions, use Huawei's technologies. So majorly today's topic, I will majorly focus on what's the major challenge and what's the technologies we will use in the smart city. And I will introduce this slides maybe I will try to finish the introduce in 20 minutes. A little bit challenge for me because the past 7 years I rarely use English. Before that, I working in Africa, in South Africa and Nigeria for 7 years. At that there, I'm quite good at English. Now my English is not that good. I will try to slow my speech speed, and if anything you feel not clear, you can just stop me. I will explain more because I see the good thing is that I want this as a really open discussion, like talk to each other. So let me start the introductions. So actually Huawei is a quite big company. We are looking for what's the big trends. So in the year 2018, last year, we worked together with Oxford Economics. We analyzed from the year 2000 to 2015, the 15 years, all the historical data of the economics. We found that the digital economics grows much faster than the traditional economics. And the investment into the ICT technologies, the investment, the efficiency, the ROI is more than six times better than the traditional non-ICT investment. So we think the digital economics will be a very important way, so we can make sure all the economics can still grow. And we think the smart city solutions and smart city initiatives is the key for the digital economics. And from the 21st century, we see the development of the cities is very fast. At the beginning of this century, we see all the things still as we call it the industrial cities. That means the broadband, the internet are still fast growing. But very fast we will see the IoT technologies, the wireless technology, especially for the 4G, actually bring a lot of change. They change all the citizens' life. So we call it the city starts to become more and more digitalized. And just 5 years or several years later, we will find that the new technologies like the AI technologies, like the 5G technologies, like the cloud technologies, they bring the cities into a next stage. We call it the intelligent cities. And most especially, we think now is the time we can build the real digital twins of cities, bring the intelligent twins for the cities. But this is the biggest challenge because all the new technologies are developed so fast. So all the industries are not prepared to adopt the new technologies. That's will actually a good chance and a big challenge for everyone. So to use these technologies is a way, but what's the real challenge for the smart cities? We think the fundamental challenge is still come from how many and what kind of data we can collect and what we can use. No matter how this big data technologies, and everyone talking for the big data for the past 10 years, we still think they're like this iceberg models. Still, there will more than 90% of the data are still not yet be collected, be used. So the biggest challenge is still like that. Normally, we can use the big data to analyze our customers' information, but everything is just come from the traditional IT systems. And for this, we call it operation technologies. We start to use the IoT. We start to use some kind of new technologies to analyze more and more data. But we think this, how we can use the data, and especially how we can awareness data to collect data is still the biggest challenge, especially for the city. In China, the common city is more like have more than 1 million people, more than hundreds of thousands of organizations in thousands square meters. How we can manage the city? Manage the city is that something like how we can collect the data, how we can manage the data, and use it properly. So if we are talking for the smart cities, no matter what kind of technologies we are using, we are adopting, the fundamental thing is that how we can manage the data properly. The challenge to manage data is big enough, even in one single organization. And for the smart city, the challenge is actually hundreds times than in the single smart cities, because what we manage is that the data owner is different. And how we can share the data between different organizations is a big challenge, especially the governments for the city governments, they don't have the privilege. They don't have the data ownership. How they can manage to the data is the biggest challenge. Yesterday, just in this room, we shared Ms. David, Vice President of Enterprise BG, shared about the feeling. We manage the data. We should balance different organizations, what's their willingness, and how we support them to collect data. Today, I want to highlight, we think, how we can transform the physical world to a digital world. What's the technologies we can provide it? Actually, it starts from Huawei ourselves as a company, as an organization. We are quite a young company. We only 31 years old, but still, we are start from a traditional manufacturing companies. We are nowadays, we still we call it, we are not born in the cloud. We are still not a digital native company. So for the past 20 years, we are always considering how can we do all these digital transformations. So for this part, we think data collections and data management and how to use data is the biggest challenge for Huawei ourselves as an organization to do the digital transformations. So we actually developed we call it a digital twin capability framework. We think this framework can help all the organizations to do the digital transformations, especially we're using this as to collect data, manage data, and use the data things. So for here, we need to manage the data in the organizations and also in organizations, because the data security and data privacy is totally the biggest challenge, and we need to face this. We need to fix it to make sure all the data can be properly collected and managed and properly used. So that is one thing in this digital twin capability framework. Another thing is that how we do the data awareness. We know we have all the IT systems. The IT systems, we can know who is our customer, maybe his age, and all the things. And we know our employees. But we only know some structural data. Even in the IT systems, they are still have 90% data. We are not awareness. So we are just not use this current IT, we call it IT systems. We should use the new technologies. For example, we need to have this log file analysis. It's not very exciting, amazing new technology, but we should reconsider that all the log files in the IT systems can bring a lot of new data, very, very valuable. So we think one of the things we call it software awareness. That means in the current IT systems, we need to consider to collect more data there. So we think there will several different technologies and practice. We can collect more data. For the smart cities, in the governance, we already see there will be no paper for this office automations. But what's the real data, valuable data we can get is still a challenge. We should consider some new technologies for that. And most important, we call it, another thing is about how we can, from the physical world, from the operation technologies to generate the useful data. We call it the hardware, the hard awareness part. So there are so many different technologies we can collect data. For example, wireless network. We always see wireless network as just a connection. But actually, when the technology developed, the wireless network like Wi-Fi especially can collect a totally new data, because everyone take their mobile phones with him. And so in the office, the Wi-Fi network can easily know where are the people and how many people in the rooms. You don't need to log into the Wi-Fi. You just open your Wi-Fi switch, the network will know where you are. And another thing like the AI capabilities, then we can analyze the currently like document, like the pictures, like the video, like the audios to get more and more information. And the traditional barcode, call code, and this kind of alpha, we call it the alpha ID, all these things. A lot of new technologies can generate the data previously we are not awareness. So the hardware, we call it the hard awareness, can collect more data. All the data coming, we call it that, in Word, we need to manage the data properly. So here we will see we call it the object, business object, and the business rules, and the business process. All these three parts need to be digitalized and be proper managed. All that part, we also will need to make this, we call it a digital assessment. Because the data collected and used, what's the purpose? We need to support the users. So we need to build up a digital assessment to evaluate how the data collection and data use, what kind of things. So overall, this kind of we call the digital twin capability framework will be the key for the future smart cities. As I mentioned, most of the low-hanging fruit things will be easily taken. But if we want to really use the smart cities, establish the potential of the smart cities, the data management is fundamentally the key. So I spend some time to share about these feelings and the consideration for the data. Later I will do something a little bit fast. Because we have on the booth we just launched, we call it the horizon as city. It's because we think in the city digital transformation include the digital government transformation and the city governance and the city planning, all the things. This transformation, the platform consideration is very, very important, because there are so many different requirements in the city, and across the city the requirement also will be totally different. But we need to consider to build a common reference architectures which make sure for this all the stakeholders for this smart city related will be use the same we call same language talking and exchange their thinkings. That's very important. So we launched we call it a Horizon digital platform, which especially for the city is actually a reference architecture. I see these things happened also in Europe, there are another open source communities called Fairware. Fairwares is also have defined this reference architectures to make sure the stakeholders in the smart city can discuss, use the same language. That's very, very important. Actually, Huawei also launched this kind of reference architectures. I think this will be very important for the development of the smart cities. And we will see reference architecture is just a common language. What we think is step by step, we need to put more and more, we call it shared service. Or here we see platform-based public services. This kind of services will be, can be shared in the different departments, different organizations in the city, and even can be shared among different cities. For example, we think unified authentication, or we call it IAM, is the fundamental services. Also, we need to build this unified mobile entry point. That means everyone, need to be mobilized. He have the mobile phone. They can easily to use the mobile phone to access the information of the city. They can even send the command through the mobile phone. How we can build this mobility platform? The third one will be the AI. AI for a city is very important. Maybe in some kind of, for example, in a small town, maybe they will not need to build their own AI capabilities. But let's keep in mind, AI capabilities is related with data ownership. If you want to enjoy the AI, sometimes you need to give up your data ownership. But that is very, very dangerous for government to do that. So normally to build these AI capabilities is a challenge for the city governance. Also, there will be a lot of different industry-specific services. To build these common services is a very important steps. So to support the smart city things. So that's for some considerations. I will use this word this time to this chance to introduce Huawei. We are quite big, and for the first 3 quarters, we achieved nearly 80 billion euros revenue, and I will see. This is because we invest a lot in our R&D. We have more than 80,000 R&D employees. And actually, 5G is a very hot thing. Also, we are facing a big challenge from we will see the strongest government in the world. We still achieve a lot. Because all 5G product is the best, we got actually more than 50 contracts. 10 of 12 5G contract, 5G launch in Europe actually supported by Huawei. 10 out of 12 are supported by Huawei in Europe only. And here the number I need to update. Now we have actually commercial launched more than 400,000 5G base stations, not 15,000. So we think this kind of development is very good because it also makes us have more confidence. If we have the best product, definitely we will have a very good feedback and very good market. But if we are talking about out of the telecom operators, how we can serve our customers well, here we mentioned the platform plus AI and plus ecosystem strategies. Huawei will focus on all core competencies. Like here we see, we have the strongest AI chips. We launched the Ascent series of the chipset for the, we call it NPU, for the AI computer capabilities. And we actually have the all cloud services. In Europe, we work together with Deutsche Telekom. We work together with French Telecom and Telefonica to build these cloud services here. That makes sure the technologies can be trusted. And of course, all the kind of the IT equipment we are provided. So we think based on this, the strong equipment, strong product, and with the platform and AI and ecosystems, we can serve all the enterprise customers, include all the smart cities. The last slide is like, we think the Huawei is the only one of the vendors in the smart city industry. So we are willing to build the platform together with all of our customers. Here, most of the partners come from China. I think only one of the vendors I didn't mention here. I think Hexagon, yes, Hexagon here. We are working like to build the platform together. But I think in Europe and in other countries, we should work together with our local partners to really build the platform for our customers. The platform is not just Huawei's platform, should be our customer's platform. So that's all my introduction. Maybe it's a lot of technology details. Hope it's not too boring. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kang. Wait, the mic. Yeah. Okay. And we will continue our panel discussion. And if you have any questions for Huawei, for Mr. Kang, you can hand up. Very good presentation, and I can understand very well from your English, I think. So you have mentioned a lot of benefits from the smart cities, but what do you think? What will be the problems of the smart cities will happen, or we should be alert, should be watch out for?
I think, also today I talk a lot about technologies, but the major challenge is definitely not technologies for smart cities. How we can transform the governance of the government, transform how they can manage the city is the biggest challenge. And I think, there are two things. One thing is, if we want to do the smart city things, we need the leaders of the government really have the very good, how to say that, they should be very powerful and confident. Otherwise, during the smart city transformations, there will be a lot of challenge. So how to do these things to make sure this transformation can be, use the English, they say, not stop is the biggest challenge. It's not a technology thing. Because we as ICT vendors, we think all the technology challenge can be solved, but the willingness the confidence of the government is the biggest challenge.
Okay, and you also mentioned that in your presentation that we have great challenges, and like that the data owners are totally different or unclear. So how Huawei can do the balance between their data convenience and the data privacy protection or security?
I think still Huawei is a technical vendors. What we can provide is the technical solutions. All solutions can help the government to, and all the stakeholders, each organizations, to define the data ownership, to define how they can share the data, how to define and how the data be used. So this is actually, from Huawei side, we provide the best technologies. And how to use data, it still need to be, the data owners things. But still, I will say, the data technologies is not just how to analyze data. And more important, the data technologies should be how to protect the data security, and how to protect the privacy is still a very important data technologies. Today, I focus on how we can collect data and how we can use data, but still, how we can protect the data is another thing very important.
So, but it's not easy to achieve the data connectivity. So, what do you think there? What's the most difficulties or most difficult things do you think in the connecting, in the data connectivity?
If we are talking for the smart city, the data quality is the biggest challenge. The current data we have, does that correct? Nobody can, nobody can say my data is correct. The government is not like a business unit. The business unit, normally their data is much more accurate. But for government, the data is really a big challenge. No matter in China and out of China, we're facing a lot of challenges. We get a bunch of data, but how the data, that's really the correct data, is the biggest challenge. So also we have developed some technologies, some tools to help the government to analyze data, to make sure it's correct. And then using the connection of the data is something like, I will say, each customer, each government will have a different challenge, because the data connection, most of the time, is referred to different departments in the government, how they can share the power. It's not just sharing the data. So that's, I think, still, it's a challenge, but maybe Huawei, we are not, how to solve that, we don't have a solution.
Okay, and you also mentioned that Huawei is very good at being an operator vendors, and you are also the biggest one in the world. And but now, if we do the smart cities, what do you think the differences between serving their operators, their mobile operators, and serving cities?
I think that is really a very good, very good and important questions. As a telecom operators, all customers have a very strong team to operate their network, to maintain their network, optimize their networks. So in that scenario, Huawei just provides the best equipment. So all customers will take care of the rest. But when our customer become a government, all governments don't understand the ICT technologies. Their IT departments are quite small. And unfortunately, there are so many new technologies. So the biggest challenge is that our government client, not a government client, most of the enterprise
customers, they don't know how to operate the technologies they build. They don't know how to use the IT technologies to enhance their operations. So that's the biggest difference. So of course, we have so many different partners, like in Barcelona, there are a lot of MSP can help the government to operate their IT networks. But if we want to do the digital transformations, I think the government itself need to have the capabilities. No other vendors can help customer do the digital transformations. So that's the biggest difference. So it's also a very big challenge for Huawei in the enterprise market. We need to build a different capabilities. If we serve for telecom operators, we only a manufacturer. We build the best equipment. But if we work together for smart city, we work together for other industry, sometimes we need to do more. We need to do the consulting. We need to even build the managed service capabilities. And we need to enable our partners to do the daily operation for our customers. So that's a different thing.
Okay. So have you met any problems in cooperating with government of the world? As we know that in America, that President Trump has given you a very big trouble.
That's actually, I will say, we don't have business in United States. So President Trump cannot bring more trouble out of to Huawei because we don't have business there. So. But out of United States, I think we are good. We work with all customers quite well. Just mentioned, as I mentioned here, from 16 May till now, we are still growth. The first 3 quarters, we grow more than 20% of the business. So we don't see that a biggest challenge. Sometimes we always think Mr. Trump is our biggest. They help us do a lot of advertisement. so we think we just provide the best product, the better service to our customers. We are a business company. So sometimes the political can affect, but as I say, we don't have business in the United States.
Okay, that's great. And you also mentioned that in different countries, you will choose different partners, including their companies or other institutions. So what's your standards to choose partners all over the world? In Europe, in Africa, in China, in Asia? So what's your standard to choose partners?
Choose partners or work together with partners is a mandatory thing. If we want to serve our customers well, we need to work together with our partners. So we don't have standards. Say who can work with us together to serve our customer better, then that's our partners. So there's no standard to say we only work with this partner, without not that partner. We don't have that kind of standard. But I think the most important thing is that the trust between our partners and Huawei, and the trust between our partners and our customers. That is the most important. The capabilities, understanding of technologies can build step by step, but to build the trustworthiness is very, very important. That's one thing. Another thing is for the IT solutions, definitely local partners is most important. Global partners like Accenture, definitely we're working with them very well. But we really think the local partners is much more important. And if we come to Europe, I think we will do more we will not just bring a product from China and sell it and serve it here. What we will do is we will focus more to make sure the technology can be developed together in the Europe. So sometimes we will work more and more with the local institute and local universities. So that's something I think we are changing now, especially in Europe. We call it the for the new AI technologies and all the things we are doing. Yeah.
Okay, so trust is important, localization is important, right? Okay, it's time for you, four of you. So, anyone have questions? You can hand up if you have any question. No question? Okay, that gentleman.
You can hear me? Yeah. With your IoT architecture, and you have like, you will always have a fragmented set of IoT devices that you're going to integrate to your platform. All of these have their own APIs and stuff like that. So how do you maintain over time a multitude and fragmented set of IoT devices that are changing constantly, and your data model and your SIM has to reflect these new components? How do you keep the entire data model updated? And who is in charge of maintaining that? Who pays for it? And how do you finance keeping that model?
Okay, that's a very difficult question, because it's not just technologies, it's still with business models. The first thing is that most of the things we don't directly connect with the device, because we understand that the IoT platform there is no global IoT platforms. All the IoT platforms actually localized, and for each different country, for different industry. So first of all, we prefer to connect to the local IoT platform, then to the devices. That's one of the things, technology is part. Second is that we need to maintain a unified and continuous optimizing data models. So for that actually is one of my domain, because I actually developed we call it the metadata-driven data model management part. So this is actually very important, because we cannot standardize the data model. They need change, because new features, new attributes, new device will be introduced into the network. So the data model will change. How we can manage the change, and how we can manage the difference for the different device, we need to use technology to make it more manageable. So there is no, how to say it? I think the most important, we need to introduce the right technologies to manage the change of the data models. Of course, the interface to the applications need to be not change a lot, but the data model need to be much more flexible. That's my answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question? Any other question? Okay, I have one new question from TMTPost website that our user, because we are to posting.
Okay.
Yeah. So and website user have a question that what breakthrough impact will the coming of 5G era bring to the smart city? Yeah, you mentioned the 5G in your presentation.
Yeah, 5G is a very good technologies, but it's not a magic. So 5G definitely can bring a lot of change for the, as of now, for the daily life. You got a much faster, much broader bandwidth. But if we say in China, we will say 4G changing life. and 5G will change society. So that's very, very big things. But if we will say everything happens step by step, so 5G will change a lot, and they bring a lot of potential things to the not just smart cities for all the industries, but to be step by step. I will say the current 5G deployed now is a better 4G. But because there are several key features for 5G. The most important is for the very small, very little latency. That's the key. In China, we have do a real try from Shenzhen to another city. There are something around 2,000 kilometers away. We can control a trunk. That means in the mining industry, in the office, because the air environment in the mining industry is very, very bad. So we are using the 5G to remotely control the trunk, the equipment. You know, in that scenario, the people are enjoy the air conditioner in the office, but they still can do the job. This kind of things, I think is a use case. Now we can guarantee the latency between these two cities is lower than 40 milliseconds. Yeah, but the target for 5G is the latency less than 1 millisecond. If it's less than 1 millisecond, they will change a lot. But the technology will be step-by-step implementation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So the last question is when is it expected to achieve the data connectivity at the city level? So the total city
if
connectivity.
We call it when, I will say never. It's a journey, because new data will be generated, new type of data will be generated. So, but we need to step by step to, do this work, to sharing data between different organizations, to connect data together, to generate intelligence. I will see my personal target is we think we can build a common model. We call it the city intelligence models. This kind of data modeling, maybe in 3 to 5 years, and can be a so-called standard. Because actually in China, we are doing is we work with the government to build this kind of data model, and can be standardized. But it's always be a reference. And build this kind of things is something like we still call it the same language, common language. But how we can share the data, who will put the data in, still the biggest challenge. And so there is a journey with no end time. Always will be improve.
Okay, so there's this smart cities, digitalization is no end journey, right?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Kang, and thanks. Very good question from the gentleman. And we also have a very traditional Chinese gift for you. Thank you, and thank you everybody. And welcome to China. Welcome to Beijing. And TMTPost have very good or influencer event in China also. If you have any plan to go to Chinese market, any interested to know more about Chinese, please know more about TMTPost. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for all the time.